We are starting today with the news of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's crackdown on smoking and vaping.
Yeah, yesterday in a speech to Conservative Party members, the Prime Minister pledged to raise the legal age for smoking by 1 year every year, which he hopes will eventually create the first smoke-free generation.
The Prime Minister also touched on the potential dangers caused by the rise in vaping. But is he doing enough to tackle this growing problem?
And we are very lucky. We're joined in the studio now by Chief Medical Officer for England, Professor Sir Chris Whitty. Good morning,
Good
Chris.
morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Do you like being called Sir? Are you used to it yet?
Chris is just
Chris.
Yeah, Chris. Oh,
Just go for
lovely.
Chris. Yeah.
That's easy for us.
Yeah.
Chris, yesterday, Rishi Sunak, as we've just heard, wants to tackle this smoke-free generation. So if you were born before the 1st of January 2009, it will be illegal for you to buy tobacco products. So if you've got a 14-year-old, it will be illegal for them to ever smoke.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. But do you think this can become a reality?
I do. And what was really striking is when we raised the age of sale here in the UK from 16 to 18, that led to a real drop in smoking. And what we hope is, as this steadily moves up the ages, we'll end up in a situation where no one is smoking. And the reason that's so important is the range of problems this causes, from things when people are pregnant, stillbirths, for example, all the way through cancers and heart disease, right up to the end, stroke and dementia. Smoking is so bad, and actually doing anything we can to cut that down to the point we have none is just amazing.
That would be incredible to actually do that. But obviously, something that we see a lot of now when you go into the shops, I mean, they're very colourful, very lovely to look at. I mean, they look like sweets. And I know it's a growing issue at the moment with vaping. Our youngsters are vaping a lot. What is the government doing with regards to that? Because I know Rishi did mention it. What are they actually doing to tackle this?
Well, the reason really we have vapes at all is because smoking is so dangerous that allowing people to be able to move on to vapes improves their health. So if you smoke, moving to vaping is an improvement, but being safer than cigarettes is an incredibly low bar. They're so dangerous. We absolutely do not want our children vaping at all, because the big danger is that they get addicted, all the long-term effects potentially of vaping. And so it is utterly unacceptable that people are marketing to children. And yet you see the bright colours, you see the flavours, you see the way they're displayed. They're clearly aiming at children. People may claim not, but it's obvious they are. You don't really need to be convinced of that. It's obvious.
Well, the numbers say it itself. So children experimenting with vaping has grown 50% year upon year. So how can we start to even stop this in its tracks?
Well, I think that the first step, and the Prime Minister absolutely made this very clear, is to think through what are the things that people are trying to do to make it attractive to children. Colours, flavours, cartoon characters.
The fact that they're on display as well, the fact that you can see them.
Exactly. So over the next few weeks, there will be a consultation launched very shortly to ask, right, how do we get the right balance between making vapes available for smokers to move on to, because it's safer for smokers, but absolutely not to be attractive to children, because it is completely unacceptable we're doing that.
So you're going to get rid of the single-use vapes with all the different flavours, all the different rainbow colours that look very, very attractive?
Well, certainly the consultation looks at possibilities of colours, flavours and, as you say, the single-use ones. The Prime Minister and the government haven't made a full decision on that, but they're absolutely determined to make them much less attractive to children.
Like Josie said, it is going up 50% year on year, so this doesn't become an endemic. When is this going to happen? You're going to have the consultation, but when do you think things will actually kick into place? Well,
my hope is that as soon as that's over, then it goes to Parliament, and then it's for Parliament to decide ultimately what the law is. But I hope that happens as soon as possible, and I think almost everybody hopes that will happen as soon as possible.
On the NHS website, it does say vaping is not completely risk-free, but again, we don't know the long-term health effects of vaping, do we? And you said that tobacco products are much more dangerous than vaping products, but if we don't know the long-term health effects of vaping, how do we know that?
I think we're very confident that they're safer than tobacco, but that's because tobacco is so bad. Vapes would have to be appalling to be worse than tobacco. So moving from tobacco to vaping is definitely a step in the right direction for any smoker. And I would encourage any smoker to stop smoking, but if vaping helps them, great. But if you're not smoking, please don't take up vaping, and it is absolutely wrong for children because we don't know the long-term effects, and the danger is they actually get addicted to the nicotine that's in many of these things, or there may be long-term effects of some of the other things they put into vapes.
Well, I know so many people that don't smoke and they've taken up vaping.
And if you can do anything to say to them, look, through this programme, look, this is not a sensible thing to do. We don't know what the long-term effects are. And what's happening is you'll become addicted to something, and then you're being controlled by the company, essentially. They're selling you a product because you're addicted.
Well, we actually, it's funny you say through this programme, we are actually going to be doing a campaign with This Morning to stop our children, our younger generation, from vaping. And we would absolutely love for you to back it as well, because we think it's so important. You know, this is our future, our kids. And for anybody out there, parents who have got children who have started vaping, what advice would you give to those parents?
Well, firstly, 100% back you. It is utterly unacceptable that we're marketing vapes to children, and anything that can be done to discourage that.
Thank you.
And then in terms of encouraging children, I mean, children, of course, always experiment, but I think what people need to understand is the risks of this, and they need to understand the dangers that they actually get trapped. And this is the thing about addiction, is that people get trapped into something. They start off thinking, we'll just try a bit, and then they find themselves trapped in an addiction they really didn't want. And in the case of smoking, of course, that is incredibly dangerous for the rest of their lives. Is
there not a way of, I mean, it sounds so realistic, can we just not ban them? Can we just not, is that not a thing that we could do? Like, I'd love to come and, like, you know, have a little consultation with you guys in government. Can we just not get rid of them?
Well, I think that because smoking is so dangerous, we need to have this tool, which is very useful for smokers.
Yeah, but you could do that through the doctor, couldn't you?
Well, this is one of the things. It's getting the balance right between making it as easy as possible for people to swap from smoking to vaping, but making it as difficult as possible for children to be marketed them.
Yeah,
Chris, we cannot have you here without talking about COVID. You became a household name during COVID. What was it like? I mean, a lot of pressure. What was it like for you during that time?
Well, I think, to be honest, like everybody in the country, it was a lot of pressure for everybody. Everybody had it in a different way.
Yeah.
If you look at the extraordinary work my colleagues in the NHS did, for example, they were under enormous pressure, slightly different sort of pressure. But I think people got through it. And because I had a really good team with me, we got through it. We got through it by being together.
So do you prefer the quiet life now that you don't have to do TV?
I'm not a natural on TV, and I don't particularly enjoy media things, but it's very much part of the job, and I see it as my job. And it's a real pleasure to meet you, I have to say.
It's lovely to meet you as well. What we did enjoy, though, we enjoyed the merchandise. I mean, your face was on mugs, it was on T-shirts, it was on masks. You could get cardboard masks. We've got two of our team actually wearing them right now.
I mean, how does it make you feel knowing that your face is on a T-shirt like that, Chris?
I wished I'd copyrighted it and be able to give them the money to charity. It would have been a good way to do it.
Yeah. And Chris, has been a brand new report, OK, by the UK Health Secretary Agency last week that did conclude the evidence and the effectiveness of lockdowns and the rule of six was very weak. If anything, if you could go back and do it all again, would you have done anything differently with this brand new evidence now?
Well, I think there's a lot of groups are now looking at exactly what bits worked. We know that lockdown as a whole worked. What we don't yet know is which bits of it were most effective and which ones weren't. Because what you're always trying to do is get on top of the virus, which we were all wanted to do across the country, but do so in the least damaging way possible. I think if I was going to start at one area, I'd start with schools. Schools is what everybody wants to keep open as long as possible. I think it was the right thing to stop them right at the beginning, but we all agonised over school closures. And of course, the schools stayed open for essential workers all the way through, and it was a huge tribute to the teachers. But that would be my starting point. But there's many other areas I think we would want, and that's what the public inquiry is looking at, and we'll be able to go back and look at these again. So, Chris,
say there was I hope to God no, but say there was another pandemic and you've got the evidence now that those lockdowns were weak, would you be quick to put people in lockdowns again?
Yeah, I don't think the evidence is that they were weak, actually. What the evidence shows is that we're not sure which bits of them were most effective. But lockdowns themselves actually worked. If you look at the numbers ticking up and then the lockdown starts and the numbers peak out and tail off. So I don't want anyone to go out of this discussion thinking that lockdowns don't work. They do work, but what they do is a lot of damage along the way. And what we want to try and do is achieve the effect of working in the best way that reduces the damage as much as we can.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Now, Matt Hancock. We've got to talk about Matt Hancock.
Oh, yeah, Matt Hancock in SAS. He's amazing in that. And would you ever consider doing something like that? Or maybe Strictly Come Dancing?
If I'm at one end of enjoying publicity, Mr. Hancock is at the other.
Naked Attraction. No. The Jungle. The Jungle.
No.
Not for me, that's for sure.
All right.
No, he doesn't like all this. But have you enjoyed your time on this morning today?
It's been a real pleasure to meet you.
Oh,
and I'm
thank
really
you,
pleased to be
Chris.
able to talk about the smoking and vaping.
Yeah,
It's
thank
such
you.
an important issue.
We really we've got to get on top of that for our children, definitely. And thank you for backing our campaign. Maybe we could put you as the face. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
I think
sure there are
that's
better faces, but I'm absolutely backing it.
Oh, you're lovely.
You're actually very sweet. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Chris. Thank you so much.